I am from the agricultural space. So I want to spend a bit of time talking to you about what I, as a messenger to this sector, have attempted to interpret these visionaries thinking about agriculture. And here we are showing GDP growth in agriculture from 2020 when we launched NDS1 and to what we project this to be in 2030 at the conclusion of NDS2. So we're a $5.6 billion industry. We are $10.3 billion in agriculture. We will be a $15.8 billion industry. So agriculture is transforming. Villages are being transformed. Communities are being transformed. Next slide. This is done by the Zimbabwe Livelihoods Assessment, corroborated by the UN. Did you know that Zimbabwe has now been officially removed from the World Hunger Sports thanks to the visionary leadership of President E.D. Mnangagwa? And there is testament that those that do not believe in themselves, that is called the Drury Duncan effect, that they don't believe in themselves for the sake of not believing in themselves, but others are beginning to see the transformation that is happening on a daily basis. And these are the statistics from the United Nations, WFO and WFP. Next slide. The land and tenure security, land reform is irreversible. The people are with their land, the land with the owners. And this we must entrench by giving more secure title, which is why the president took the unprecedented step last year to issue title deeds to holders of A1 and A2 permits. So those that have land, rush and get these more secure, collateralizable, transferable, bankable and polarizable documents. Next slide. I just wanted to show you the transformation that's taking place in terms of maize production. 1.7 million metric tons in 2018, 2.3 million metric tons 2025, and we project that we will be at 3 million by 2030. So massive growth happening, but this largely measured on Pfumvudza Intwasa, that sustainable conservation intervention that the president brought in 2020. As we climate-proof agriculture, because climate change has become a constant, we must ensure that we have climate-smart agricultural practices. And I'm on record as saying that young boys and young girls, ensure that you climate-proof your marriage. Marry someone who knows Pfumvudza Intwasa. Next slide. Traditional grains. As you climate-proof agriculture through Pfumvudza Intwasa, you must also climate-proof agriculture through agroecological tailoring of crops. What is grown by a farmer, what is supported by government, is determined by exigencies of the agricultural region. It's not determined by what we want. If we are in region 5, we must grow traditional grains. We had a record production of traditional grains in 2025, 635,000 metric tons. 28% of the cereal production was traditional grains, up from 8% in 2020. And again, this is the transformation that we want to see. Next slide. Wheat production. Here, when we had the worst drought in living memory in 2024, the president said, look, let's look within ourselves and not go and beg for food. And he directed that we do a wheat-based food security strategy. We produced sufficient wheat of the 328,000 metric tons that we gave for social welfare. We gave wheat 180,000 metric tons. Imagine in an African country giving wheat for social welfare. Only under the visionary leadership of President E.D. Mnangagwa. Zimbabwe and Ethiopia are the only two countries on the African continent that are wheat self-sufficient, and Zimbabwe has begun talks with neighboring countries to export wheat. We think By 2030, we will be producing 1.5 million metric tons of wheat, and things are happening at pace and scale. Next slide. That's tobacco production. I know it's a church gathering, but 99% of the tobacco that we produce is destined for export. We had a record production. Kune vanhu vanoti vakaisuta iyo fodya yeZimbabwe gotsi rinoti papata nokunakirwa. Next slide. Blueberry production. Hey, if you go to UAE and taste blueberries, you know that most likely they are from Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe is now the 4th biggest producer in the world, and we believe we can be number 2 to Peru. Next slide. Milk production. In 2018, we only produced 75 million liters against a consumption of 130 million liters. With strategies and leadership, this year we will be able to produce 130 million liters, enough to feed ourselves. So from 2026, we'll stop imports. This is transformation in the agriculture sector, which shows that the president is transforming Zimbabwe every day. Next slide. Madiba, 4,000 that are now working. So this again is transformation. Next slide. Cattle deaths. We had a reduction of 86% in cattle deaths. Remember January disease, when we were closing our cattle crows? But now fewer and fewer of these are happening because we give households degrees, and who would have thought about that except this visionary leadership that is President E.D. Mnangagwa. Next slide. Dam construction, we have heard quite a lot. Next slide. I just wanted to show you irrigation development as we climate-proof agriculture. At household level through Pumvudza Intwasa, we must also climate-proof agriculture at a national level through enhancing irrigation development. And it is in this context that we are increasing irrigation development by 2030. 496,000 hectares will be irrigated, sufficient to generate 1.8 million metric tons of cereals, so that whether it rains or not, Zimbabwe will be able to produce sufficient to feed itself. Next slide. The dam is an economy. So this is the transformation, the mantra of the Second Republic. And as you see, there's Gwai Shangani, there's also Tugwimukosi, the major dams in the country, where we are establishing economies around that, but benefiting those that are around those areas first, unlike the philosophy of the past. Next slide. Mechanization is happening at 2 levels. We have seen tractors increase from just 7,000 in 2018 to 16,350 in 2025, and we believe by 2030 there will be 25,000 tractor units. We are starting in your villages. We have received the first batch now of 50 tractors. We want 1,620, one for each of the rural wards starting in the first quarter of next year. We want to mechanize the villages. So you'll be seeing small tractors in villages, and the president will be launching this in the first quarter of next year. Next slide. As you produce more and more, you must have more storage. We currently have 750,000 metric tons worth of silo space. The president has directed that we must have 1.5 million metric tons. And the rationale behind this is that we must be able to store enough to feed Zimbabwe for 3 years if it doesn't rain. Here, you can see the second batch of silos that have been launched at Mutare, and these silos are called speaking silos. They are artificial intelligence powered. They can speak to you over your phone and tell you how much moisture and how much is in each of these. Next slide. I just wanted to pause and show you the impact of Pumvudza Intwasa, the yields going up. Next slide. God is kind. The season has started extremely well. And please, God has heard our prayers. Continue to pray so that this season can end well. It has been the best start to a season since 2017. Our plan for this season, as your ministry responsible for food security, is to produce 3.2 million metric tons of cereals, up from the 2.9 million that we produced last year on 2.6 million hectares. The next slide shows the progress that we've made to date. Of the 1.8 million hectares of maize, we are just 1.6 million. So 88% of the maize is done. Sorghum, you can also see 92%. Pearl millet, very close, 90%. You can see some of the crops also slightly behind. But we believe this season will be an extremely good season. Nyika inorimirwa nevene vayo. Next slide. As I was called by the prophet just less than 48 hours ago to come to this very important gathering, I was actually in the field on my farm, and I thought I would share with you what my maize crop looks like, so that you know that at a practical level too, I attempt to do something. Next slide. So with President E.D. Mnangagwa, there will be food security everywhere, every day. With President E.D. Mnangagwa, kuchava kuguta kwese kwese, zuva rega rega. With President E.D. Mnangagwa, inala indao zonge isuku zonge. Thank you very much, and I wish you a productive gathering and a prosperous new year. Thank you.
Let's clap properly. That is powerful testimonial of what is actually happening on the ground. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for that great presentation and exhortation. And thank you again for coming at very short notice. I think you must give him a good hand clap for that. Say hallelujah.